Hello everybody, we've got a new devlog from the Old School RuneScape team. This is the Slayer expansion. Slayer is one of the most popular skills in Old School, and since the updates last year, we've been suggesting and requesting a whole array of further updates to the skill. They've collected all of our ideas, and they've got a smorgasbord of new features, bosses, and small tweaks to offer us in this developer blog. So let's jump right into it. Starting off with Boss Slayer. Boss Slayer has been a highly requested update to Slayer, and it's the first feature on offer. They'd like to offer it as an unlockable task costing 200 Slayer points. Rather than being set as a task for a specific boss, you would simply receive a Slayer assignment of kill X bosses and will be able to kill any boss that you like. All bosses listed in the boss log will be included, as well as Slayer bosses. Tasks of bosses will be available from Neve and Duradel, and as the experience rates and bosses will not be particularly great, upon completing a boss task you'll be rewarded with an additional 5,000 Slayer experience. Next, Czar tasks. They'd like to offer a Czar task that can be unlocked for a cost of 100 Slayer points. Upon receiving this task from a Slayer Master, you'll be given the choice of either killing a given number of Czar monsters, or taking on the challenge of completing the Fight Cave. If you choose to opt for the Fight Cave challenge, upon completing the Fight Cave you'll receive a bonus of 25,000 Slayer experience. Next, the Tuztok Jad Pet. To tie in with the Czar tasks, they'll be offering to introduce the Tuztok Jad Pet. Players completing the Fight Cave would have a slim chance of getting a Jad pet upon defeating Tuztok Jad himself, and your chance of receiving the pet when you're on a Slayer task is double that of a player completing the cave normally. They'd also like to include an additional option to get yourself a Jad pet. If you aren't lucky enough to get a Jad pet after getting yourself a Fire Cape, you would then be able to sacrifice your Fire Cape for another shot at the pet on the spot. The chances of getting a pet by sacrificing your Fire Cape would, again, be slim. However, it is a second chance at getting that pet. Next, Cerberus, the Hellhound boss. Last year saw the release of the first Slayer bosses, the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil and the Cave Kraken, and since then they've had no end of requests for more. So Cerberus, the Hellhound boss, is the first new boss they'd like to offer us. Located deep within the Stronghold Slayer Cave, Cerberus is thought to guard an ancient gate leading to another plane, and with 3 heads is certainly no pushover. You'll need a Hellhound or Boss Slayer assignment to take on the Demonic Canine, but those strong enough to slay the beast may find themselves one of the new rewards. So, Cerberus's drops. The signature drop they're offering is new best in slot boots for all 3 combat classes. However, rather than just dropping the boots, Cerberus will have a chance to drop one of the collars worn around its 3 heads. Embedded within each collar is a powerful crystal from which Cerberus draws its power. If you're lucky enough to find one of these crystals, you'll be able to use your magic and crafting skills to create 3 new boots. Each of the crystals and new pairs of boots are tradable and do not degrade at all, but once created cannot be retrieved or broken down to their original components. So, there's Eternal Boots. Created by infusing Infinity Boots with one of the as yet unnamed crystals, Eternal Boots provide a +8 magic attack as well as a +5 stab, slash, crush and range defense, and a +8 magic defense. Eternal Boots will require 75 defense and magic to wear. Next, the Pegasian Boots. Created by infusing Ranger Boots with one of the as yet unnamed crystals, Pegasian Boots provide a +12 range attack, a -12 magic attack, and a +5 stab, slash, crush and magic defense. Pegasian Boots require 75 defense and range to wear. Next, the Primordial Boots. Created by infusing Dragon Boots with the final as yet unnamed crystals, Primordial Boots provide a +2 stab, slash and crush attack, a -4 magic attack, a -1 range attack, a +22 stab, slash and crush defense, and a +4 strength bonus. Primordial Boots will require 75 defense and strength to wear. Also, there's the Smouldering Stone and Infernal Tools. Another new item they're offering is the Smouldering Stone, which is dropped by Cerberus and very rarely by standard Hellhounds. The Smouldering Stone can be attached to a Dragon Axe or Pickaxe to upgrade them. Requiring 61 woodcutting and 85 fire making to create, the Infernal Axe has a 1 in 3 chance to incinerate logs when chopping trees, providing fire making experience equal to 50% of burning the logs with a tinderbox. Over time, the stone will lose its power and the axe must be recharged with another Smouldering Stone or Dragon Axe after burning 5,000 logs. Requiring 61 mining and 85 smithing to create, the Infernal Pickaxe has a 1 in 3 chance to incinerate ores when mined, which provides a small amount of smithing experience depending on the ores mined. The Infernal Pickaxe can even incinerate ores that you can't usually smelt, like granite, and will still provide some smithing experience. After incinerating 5,000 ores, the Infernal pickaxe must be recharged with another Smouldering stone or Dragon pickaxe. Both Infernal tools are untradeable and once created can't be dismantled. Finally, there's the Hellpup pet. As with all the other bosses, Cerberus will have a very small chance of dropping a boss pet, a Hellhound pup. Next, the Abyssal Sire, which is the Abyss boss. The next Slayer boss on offer is the Abyssal Sire, a high order of abyssal demon that possesses the power to manipulate tissues of both the living and dead to its will. Using this ability, the Abyssal Sire creates a bio-nexus from the remains of adventurers, rearranging their flesh into a living, subservient environment from which it feeds and flourishes. Once a nexus is established, a sire will often become bloated from its endless greed as it feeds continuously, but this does not mean that it will become any less lethal. When disturbed, a sire will become enraged that another dare to encroach upon its territory, and unleashes the full fury of the abyss upon its latest victim, before they too join its nexus for eternity. Requiring 85 Slayer and either an Abyssal Demon or Boss Slayer assignment to fight, an Abyssal Sire will prove a challenge for even the most experienced Slayers. Those fortunate enough to survive the fight may find themselves a new Abyssal Dagger. So, the Abyssal Dagger. The Abyssal Sire's signature drop. An Abyssal Dagger will require 70 attack to equip and will be a very useful stab alternative to the Zamorak Haster. With a plus 75 stab attack and a plus 70 strength bonus, the dagger is slightly weaker than the Zamorak Haster, but the Abyssal Dagger can use stab while training purely attack, strength or defense. The other rewards that the Abyssal Sire will drop include: there'll be a chance of dropping Abyssal Whips and Heads, as well as a very low chance of dropping an Abyssal Minion boss pet. Moving on, we've got additional Slayer reward point purchases. Along with this update, they'd like to offer us a few more uses for our Slayer points. So they want to offer us more extended tasks. They'd like to add a list of monsters that you can purchase extended tasks for. These include Bloodvelds, Aberrant Spectres, Aviences, Mithril Dragons, Cave Horrors, Dust Devils, Skeletal Wyverns, Gargoyles, Necrons, and Cave Krakens. These task extensions can be purchased individually or as part of a new mega pack that unlocks all extensions for a small discount. Next, Broad Darts. A small addition that they'll like to add is Broad Darts. While available for purchase with both Slayer points and coins, they'd like to make them very costly for players purchasing the dart tips with coins. They would cost at least 100 coins each from Slayer Master shops. It would also be possible to buy the complete darts for Slayer points. The darts will have the following stats and will require 50 range and 55 Slayer to equip. So they'll have a plus 10 range attack and a plus 9 range strength bonus. The darts will be made tradable and could be loaded into the Toxic Blowpipe provided you have 55 Slayer. Next, the Herb Sack. The Herb Sack will be an untradable item purchased for 750 Slayer points. It will require 58 herb lore to use and would have the useful ability to store up to 100 of each major grimy herb, which includes the main 14 types of herbs from Guam to Torstol. It would have a left-click fill option and an empty option with the bank open, similar to the way the Wilderness Looting Sack works. Moving on, we've got the Stronghold Slayer Cave expansion. They've had a number of requests regarding several different monsters that are assigned as Slayer tasks to offer more spawns to help prevent spots filling up on every world. They've also had requests to add some new monsters to the Stronghold Slayer Cave. So, the additions to the Slayer Cave. They'd like to offer to extend the Stronghold Slayer Cave west beyond the Iron and Steel Dragons to include a few new monsters in the cave. The monsters that they'll be introducing would be Blue Dragons, Red Dragons, Baby Green Dragons, which we currently don't have, and Black Demons. Also, they want to offer some additional monster spawns around the map. They'd like to increase the number of monster spawns for the following monsters in the listed locations: Blue and Baby Blue Dragons in Tablee Dungeon, Red Dragons in Brimhaven Dungeon, Black Demons in Tablee Dungeon, Baby Green Dragons in Edgefield Dungeon, which currently aren't there. Next, drop table improvements. They've had some requests to make improvements to existing Slayer monster drop tables in order to keep them rewarding, so they'd like to offer some minor changes to Dark Beasts and Spiritual Mages. Dark Beasts will be slightly buffed, with some of the less useful items on the drop table being replaced with some more valuable items commonly found on generic monster drop tables. Spiritual Mages will have a slight increase in the amount of runes and essence they drop, although the contents of the drop table itself won't change. And finally, Slayer assignment refactoring. Lastly, they'd like to rework the current assignment list that Slayer Masters use to select tasks. As it stands, the chance of receiving each monster as an assignment differs from monster to monster, and some of the requirements on receiving certain tasks, such as 110 combat to be assigned Dark Beasts, have been requested to be removed. So they're offering to completely rewrite the task selection system for each Slayer Master with more sensible requirements and an equal chance of selecting each available task. So there we go, that's the Slayer expansion developer blog. As always, our feedback is critical. So, before selecting how best to break up the questions for polling, they'll review all of our feedback early next week. Personally, I think this devblog's been great. Boss tasks seems amazing, and I like the fact that you can do Zar tasks. I'm a little unsure about adding a Tustok Jad pet, especially because there'll be a second chance of getting it if you hand in your fire cape after you finish the fight caves. However, it's something that a lot of people have been requesting for a long time, and I don't have any strong objections against it. Then there was Cerberus, which I thought was a nice idea for a boss. And I really like the way that it drops its collar and you take a crystal from its collar in order to get your signature drops. It's not devaluing any of the current items, and it's helping add these really powerful items in game. However, to me, these boots sound like the ones that the Glaciers dropped in RuneScape 3, and the Smouldering pickaxe and Smouldering axe basically just sound like the Infernal Asiah. However, the way they're doing it, I think is quite nice, although I think it's got too many charges at the moment. Also, there's the Abyssal Sire. It's a very interesting boss concept, and I like the fact that we could have a higher level boss of the Abyssal Demon. The one thing I really don't like about this is the Abyssal Dagger. I remember when Mod Alfie modelled that on a live stream, I just looked at it and thought it looked terrible. And my big question really is, what is it? An Abyssal Whip is effectively the spine of Abyssal Demons, so what is an Abyssal Dagger? There's also the Slayer reward points extension. I like the fact you can extend a lot of tasks there. I'm less of a fan with the Broad Bolts, and I think the herb sack sounds like a great idea. However, I think 100 of each herb is just too much. They've mentioned a Stronghold Slayer Cave expansion, which I really like the idea of. I'm a little unsure about adding baby green dragons. However, baby dragons don't drop hides, and they don't drop the full dragon bones. So for people that really don't want to go into the wilderness, they don't have to. However, I'm wondering where exactly they'll be putting them in Edgefield Dungeon. Perhaps it'll be in the wilderness side, perhaps it won't be. They've also mentioned they'll be buffing drop tables. I'm a little hesitant with that because in the past when they've done a buff on a drop table, it's suddenly become the best thing, see Skeletal Wyverns. But I think increasing things for Dark Beasts and Spiritual Mages won't be the worst thing in the world. And finally, the Slayer assignment refactoring. Currently the way that the Slayer assignment seems to go sounds like a terrible method. I think having a much fairer way of getting a task would improve Slayer no end. If you want to leave feedback for the Old School RuneScape team, make sure you go on forums, maybe send it to their Twitter, just make sure you get it to them. If you want to discuss this devblog, please do so in my comments below. If you want to see the latest content poll, please click here for content poll 33. And if you want to see the latest update to Old School RuneScape, please click here for the system update and poll 33. It's also got some really nice behind the scenes of the resizable mode. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the Old School RuneScape updates, devblogs and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.